Never mind. I was going to say lap dance, but that's not funny.
That's funny that you said it. Future Cop Lap Dance came out in 1998.
Welcome to New Game Plus. This is a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name is Kenny.
Nolan.
And this is episode 374. And in anticipation of the upcoming release of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I pose to you this important question. Which do you seek? Power, wisdom, or courage?
Wisdom.
Why?
Because it is the best of the three.
Okay, very simple. Kenny, do you have a different answer?
I do. Courage. I already got wisdom on lockdown.
Okay.
Power is a trap,
Wow.
and it's not going to turn out well. Because the age thing.
Okay.
And, fear can mess you up. So courage is a good
You're
one.
a scared boy is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But at age 59, you might have some wisdom, but you don't have all the wisdom, so there's always more
Leak.
wisdom to attain.
Wiki
Solomon.
Sure.
There's always more. Yeah, there's always more. And what? Yours is power down?
And Dustin wants power.
If y'all
No,
think
he wouldn't
I
say it.
want power, I too want wisdom. Oh, I should say power, because then we would have with our powers
Yeah,
combined.
we need to be the Triforce.
But I don't.
For
no,
us. Do it for
certainly don't
us.
want power. I want. No, but I can't even come up with a reason why I would want power to dominate over all my enemies.
Your
Like
numerous
what?
enemies.
I mean,
The guy
that's
that left
just
that
not
bad
a
review
thing.
on the podcast.
Yeah, or the guy that left the good review with the 1 star on accident.
Yeah.
Which I haven't told our community. I told you two. But okay, a few weeks back, I read a 1-star review. The review was great, but the guy accidentally messed up and gave us 1 star.
That's such a
lacking-
mistake.
Lacking the Triforce piece of wisdom. And his wife emailed us just recently asking if we can change that or if we can delete his thing because it was an accident. So like,
Because
they
he
just
felt bad
discovered this.
about the
Neither,
1 star being
unfortunately.
attached.
Yeah, we
No
can't
control.
do either.
We have to do. We have to live with a 1-star review.
Yeah, and he can't get back to it.
He
So like,
lost his credentials or something
yeah,
for that account.
It's so funny.
So we'll never have power because of him. But I also wisdom. I feel like if you have wisdom, you can rightfully attain the other two.
Yeah.
I also wisdom.
Yeah, and also
Well said.
Zelda
Oh, really?
is wisdom. And Zelda's
Zel-
the best.
Oh, and Link is courage.
Yeah.
And
You know who? Is
Bowser.
Yeah, Bowser has power.
All right, I've got a joke to bridge the two subjects. No, I've just
Okay.
got a joke to bridge. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Did you know Link is a member of the armed forces?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he joined the Navy. Navy is the ferry. Navy is the... Like in our retro game of the week, Future Cop, LAPD.
Overview.
Future Cop, LAPD, which stands for Los Angeles Police Department, is
Not
a
short for... Never mind. I was going to say lap dance, but that's not funny.
Yeah, it is.
funny that you said it. Future Cop Lap Dance came out in 1998 for the PlayStation 1. It also came out on PC and Mac OS the same year, which I was kind of surprised that it was on Mac OS in 98. I feel like they wasn't gaming in 98 on Macs.
There were weird attempts in that kind of era of the
Yeah.
90s to sort of include those folks. But there's not many
Those
options.
folks. Well, that's a common thing now, but back then you could have played it on your little Apple computer. It was developed by EA Redwood Shores, which is just an electronics art office somewhere, probably Redwood.
Well,
and it was
hold
also
on.
published by EA. What?
It was in Redwood, California. That was
Okay.
why they came up with the name Not Creative. However, this is really interesting. EA Redwood Shores eventually became Visceral Games, that is known today for the Dead Space series.
And some other good stuff too, for some Sims releases, and then like some like random James Bond ones and stuff. But yeah, Dead Space is like that's the big one to know. I was kind of like, why did they become that, or why did EA allow that? Because EA is EA. This game is a okay. What's the genre here, guys? It's not a third-person shooter.
They
It's
say
a mech
third-person
game. It's a
shooter.
mech game.
That's not a genre.
It is. It is in the 90s, especially on PC. Mech titles were a thing. Some of them were strategy games, but some of them were shooters too. It was just like this fascination.
Nolan, it's a MOBA.
I also
Specifically,
wanted to say that too.
a multiplayer offline battle adventure.
Arena, not a.
But also that, because there's 2 game modes. We'll get into all that.
Yeah.
It's not what MOBA means.
Okay, Dustin, what is it?
Oh, I don't have a better answer.
Got
All
it.
y'all's answers are bad.
It's a mech shooter. I mean, that's what we're going with. It's not a third-person shooter. Because it's an
Why do you
isometric.
say it?
Yeah.
Just because it's isometric?
I mean, it's clearly
Yes.
third
Or
person.
over the top?
Third person's over the shoulder. Third person's.
You don't have shoulders.
Mechs have
You're a
shoulders.
You
machine.
do have shoulders.
Mechs have shoulders.
Mechs have shoulders. Shoulders
They're
are not exclusive to humans.
Like.
No.
He's
We
got
don't have...
little stumpy gun arms. Those don't count as shoulders.
Correct.
Oh.
The things attaching the arms to the body.
That's a
Nope.
shoulder.
No.
Go
There-
back to
there's no
anatomy.
defined,
Basic mech anatomy.
Okay, listen, you mech heads.
No shoulders.
You assume the role of the X1 Alpha mech, which is a
Shoulderless.
crime-fighting mech in Los Angeles that is ruined.
The worst version of post-apocalypse.
on fire constantly in Los Angeles, crime constantly. You're a policeman in the future in this mech, the X1 Alpha, and you're shooting criminals.
The way things are going, this game may not. It's trying to be tongue in cheek, but it may not be far off.
I mean, the year's 2098 here, so that's quite a ways off.
Not
Yeah,
when
we
we're
don't know what's
recording
gonna
this.
happen.
Right. The game is
In the game.
2098. And
our podcast might go that long, and someone might think that we were recording this episode then.
right.
There's a chance.
So I was trying to gather the story from the first play. So I was like, I'll get some later, but I don't know. LA's on fire and you're a cop. That's the story. There's no story.
I mean, it's not overtly story. Yeah, I mean, when it's this kind of game, this kind of genre, which we left undefined.
No, it's an arcade game. It just came to me. It's an arcade shooter.
It's an arcade game.
It's an arcade
That never
mech
made
shooter.
it.
That never went to arcades.
Yes. There we go.
There's enough story to give you context for what's happening, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
not a deep story. And throughout, you're fighting crime and you're taking down like crazy cults, supercomputers of the future.
Yeah.
Crazy
Even-
lunatics.
Even
that
those
kind of
story beats are episodic, though.
Yeah.
You're really addressing sort of one crime situation at a time, and so you're getting some of this like passive world building and this kind of experience of future LA, but you're not getting like an overarching narrative that you're trying to tie all together. And so yeah, no story really.
Yeah.
Now, before we go on, and this will be a conversation we can have throughout this episode, but I think it's important up front, especially when Kenny called this a MOBA and made up whatever he wanted his letters to be.
It was a good acronym.
From the
We're going there.
Wikipedia, from the research, and from our experience this week, we have to determine whether or not we think that this did influence what would become the MOBA genre that did not exist at this time. I do think we go there up front as we're talking about the overview of this game, and then we can expand it as we move throughout. I just want to know, without much conversation up front, did Future Cop create the MOBA genre, in your opinion?
I have no reason to think it didn't. The claim stands, and right now I'm willing to say, all right, sure.
Create is a strong word.
Influence.
Heavily influenced.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Spawn.
Oh, you think
Yeah,
so too? Kitty?
possibly.
I thought you were going to say
Yeah.
no.
No, absolutely.
This is going to be super interesting. I totally agree. And
Okay.
98 on a home console?
That's before
I guess that was also
Dota.
on PC, which is interesting. Oh yeah, before all of that, by years.
On a game released for Mac?
Yeah, Mac OS.
That is going to lead to some very interesting conversation and would have caused me to believe that this game would have been talked about a lot more than
Exactly.
it apparently has ever been talked about before.
Gameplay.
As mentioned, you are a police person in a mech that is armed and shouldered with a
Nope, you said armed.
machine gun, a grenade thrower, and a missile launcher. I could just stop there because that's just enough to tell you that you are going throughout these maps, creating and stopping chaos. Like you are unleashing. I think you start with like 8,000 bullets in your machine gun and like 200 something grenades.
Plenty.
And you might run out of those 8,000 bullets. There's a very realistic chance.
But you've got reloads along the way, and you've got upgrades, and you're unleashing those on enemies that are running around. On other mechs, you're unleashing them on buildings. You're unleashing them on turrets. You're unleashing all of your barrage of weaponry against all of. I almost said Louisiana because that's what I think when I see LA.
It's got some Louisiana vibes.
Louisiana PD across Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And you're going to places in Los Angeles that are from Los Angeles, but that are, again, evolved and devolved.
Yes. You're also a transformer. You can transform the vehicle into you can transform your mech into a vehicle that isn't very helpful most of the time. I feel like you're always under fire or needing to fire. And so I rarely used the car mode, but it did make me feel
move
like
around quick, grab the car. Need to float over water or get places where your big chunky walk mech can't, be the car. Like just running around, running people over because you like cars, be the car.
You need to jump up onto a ledge, use the mech. Except you can't.
Play a different game.
There's a verticality to the gameplay as well. You have a jump. And in my first play, I edited out a lot of swear words. It sucks. They designed the stage in a way to like you can jump up on certain areas, but the jump's not high enough. And I'm is that on purpose? Like, am I not supposed to be doing this? Like, why is that?
There's almost platforming elements to this game.
Yes, yeah, and
It's
a lot actually. No,
Yeah,
it's not a platformer, but in some levels, there's more than I thought there was gonna be.
Well, and you are right. They don't want you to just be able to jump up on anything. They want you to maneuver around this map and find the ramps and take the ramps. And then they want you to stay on
Fall
those
off the
narrow
ramps.
platforms. Right.
Yeah.
It's not the easiest. And then take fall damage. Listen, though. I understand your frustration there. It's a valid frustration. But and this is probably my fault, let's reverse our mechs just a little bit, because I think it's important to clarify that there are two game modes when it comes to this game. And that's very important thing to talk about, and I think we talk about them separately. And let's do the one that we all probably did first, and you did in your first play, Nolan, primarily, and that's the crime war
story mode.
It's story mode. It's a campaign.
Mode. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you've got Precinct Assault, which is your strategy game that many say influenced or inspired the MOBA genre. We'll talk about that secondly and separately. But let's talk about the crime war campaign story mode, where you are in both of those modes, you are this mech that can do what we've already described. But in this one, you've got this episodic nature where you're going through different areas of Los Angeles.
Dispatch is talking to you.
Dispatch is talking to you. You've got this girl over dispatch that's telling you what to do. You've got a mini map that is, by the way, the first 30 seconds of this game is the most rapid tutorial that I've ever seen in a video game.
I know, it was too much.
It lays out for you. It says L1 is your action button, and then you've got L2 and R2 for strafe. You've got your square X and circle for all of your weaponry. You've got triangle for jump, and your mini map is this color means this. This color means this.
Yeah,
like it lays it out so quickly, and then it just throws you in, and you're being attacked, and you're having to move around and do all the things.
That's what it felt like an
you were
arcade
just told.
game to me, because of how
speed
quickly
of
it
things.
just throws you into it. Yeah,
It's trying to be real world accurate to the amount of training you would get if you were a police officer.
nice.
I don't know if that's the case. And then you're moving throughout. I think the maps are done really well. There's only 8 stages, I think, in this entire game. It's a short game. Probably 4 or 5 hours if you're taking even your time and just trying to figure things out on your first time through. And you're moving through these areas. Some have larger areas. Some are tight corridors. Some are, some of these, like, you've got to go up in verticality and kind of maneuver across these platforms. But basically, you're making your way through these stages. You're unlocking different gates. Deactivating gates, you're destroying buildings, and then at the end, throughout you're fighting a mini boss probably, and then at the end you're fighting a boss. The boss at the end of the first stage has gotten into this observatory and has weaponized it, and you have to take out its shields and then take out its main cannon.
He's just nonchalantly shooting down airplanes.
Yeah.
And you got to go take him out.
Oh yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, they were like, why is he doing that?
He shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
This is past you probably got it by now, but this is past the point of arrestable offenses. This is like they need to be murdered
dead
quickly.
Yeah.
They need to be
dead by a mech. And you also get some more platforming stuff, that like navigating through a maze like area, and like having to time, like there's one level, there's like pistons going through a corridor, and you have to like time your way through it, which I thought was really interesting and wanted a little more of. I felt like most of the game was more of an all-out assault, and that's fine. That is, it's a mech game. That's what people wanted. I'm sure the audience for this game, that's what you play it for. But I thought they could have done a little more on the puzzle side of things. I also didn't beat the game, so maybe there's more of that. But
there were a couple kind of places where they tried to do world interactions, but I agree. I wouldn't have minded more. I did like how cohesive they tried to be in setting up like world and your progress with like the actions that are going on. Lots of times the mini boss like dying and blowing up will reveal the next part of the map.
Oh yeah.
And some of those things that are just kind of passive, like sort of world build storytelling decisions were really cool.
I totally agree, and I like that although it is a story-like game, they keep those things tethered together. We mentioned it, but that girl that's in your ear throughout the time, I think provides great flavor for the game. She's telling you things you need to know, what you need to do next, and then often the enemy of the stage will tap into your feed as well and start taunting you.
Yeah,
which is always fun.
No,
and
she's great, better than Cortana.
Wow,
Whoa.
Shut up.
one of the top tier in your ear characters to ever have existed. I know it's a one-off game and it's not the whole universe and it's not the same scope of game, but for the quality you get for the game that it is, top tier. She's excellent.
Better than Cortana. Stop it.
Better than Navi from the Navy?
No, not Navi from the Navy. Navy is better.
How did you feel the auto locking worked? Because I think that's a key
auto locking
component here.
Needed.
Needed?
Certainly, because
Needed.
you can't aim in this viewpoint. We kind
Right.
of mentioned the viewpoint is more of like an isometric third person, yes, but like it's not fully top down like a strategy game. It's sort of in that isometric range, so you can't aim really, because there are things up here and things low. So the auto locking I found to be just fine. It was just right, and it needed to be there. And I didn't have too many instances of like, no, I don't want to lock onto that, because if there are multiple enemies, like they all need to die. So
Right.
you know,
It's
I'll
not
just
like
hold
you-
down shoot.
It's not like you're not really able to fine tune things, but you kind of don't need to.
There's no
You're
civilians.
just destroying
Right.
anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So,
which
fine.
weapon you're using, you may need to be choosing.
Right.
But you can usually tell, like the fact that it shows you the visual of it so obviously as to where you're locking on, so that you can adapt to the fact that it does kind of jump around a little bit, works okay. It's definitely a little chaotic. There were moments I wanted
lot of
more
chaotic.
control of it. You know, I'd rather keep it on the boss and like kill the ads as I wanted to, instead of like being forced to kind of jump back and forth and whatever else. But I think they used the mechanic and they knew what they were doing. It's chaotic, but in a good sort of intentional way, and so it didn't ever bug me. It's not like it's great auto lock, but yeah, the game wouldn't work without it. So I'm fine with it.
In the same thought of like mechanics, in terms of how the game controls, I had a big issue this week actually, because this game feels more like a twin shooter to me, or like it should be a twin shooter where you've got dual sticks. One is movement and one is shoot, and that's like I mean, it's kind of a genre in itself, but this game totally would fall into that if the PS1 had joysticks, which I guess one of the controllers did.
DualShock.
The DualShock did, but the base game, you're assuming the player has the D-pad stick, like the one, or the controller that comes with it. So D-pad plus L2 R2 strafe. Does it work? Yes. Does it feel good? No. Really bad. I was getting constantly shot, and I didn't feel like I was in control. And I think on PC, this would totally work with WASD and mouse. On a controller, I felt like I was in prison, and I could not
I think
move.
the two conversations are related, because the times I had the hardest problem with strafing was when my auto lock was jumping around. If you could put it on a boss and lock it so that you could like strafe based on the location of the boss and the things they were shooting at you, would have been so much easier. So
Like
if you
if
could
you
have like
push in
toggled,
L3.
yeah, if you could have like toggled the behavior of the
Oh, wait.
auto lock to either stick on somebody or choose to like move or not, it would have gone a long way in helping some of those other in the fight mechanics, because you got a lot going on. You can shoot all your weapons and you can shoot them simultaneously. I don't know if you guys realized that, which is so fun. And the strafe was big, but it was hard to use when there were lots of enemies.
Yeah, but I mean I think that's just the difficulty of the game, the challenge. I know that you weren't the only one or ones that struggled with the I guess clunkiness of the controls this week. I saw many complaints like that in the Discord, and I get that. I wonder if it worked for me, and I don't know. Like, this might just be elitism talking, but because of my legacy experience with PlayStation and just those kinds of games and that kind of era, because that's where like I thrived, where Nolan, you were maybe more over in the N64 side of things. I spent most of my time with the PlayStation during this era, and I can't name other games that did this, but yes, would it be better with dual joysticks? Absolutely, but we're talking about 1998 where that wasn't happening and wasn't really an option. And so I think it did the best that it could with that. And I thought it felt good this week. I think it all comes down to mastering the strafe. And once you get the strafe, like, you're going to get hit, but you've got a lot of health, and you can get health refills along the way. Again, they're generous with your ammo. You can shoot them all off at the same time. I love that the way that they've got them on your HUD is in the same order as the buttons on your PlayStation controller. It's so smart that the far left one is square, the second one is X, which is the second on your... So I feel like all that works, and once you get the strafe down, by the end of the week, it was feeling good for me.
If you weren't having to platform's the wrong word. It's the wrong word, but there are those
to
narrow paths
navigate the
yes,
world.
the navigation. If you weren't having to do that so precisely at some points, and there wasn't fall damage, then yeah, I'd forgive it. But like, I never got. It probably is legacy because I never felt good.
I think
like
some
tank
of it
controls,
made me
by the way.
familiarity. I probably lived somewhere in the middle. Nolan, I saw you get really, really frustrated in your first play with the jump, and I expected to come in and just completely hate it. There were a few moments that it bugged me, but as long as you kind of like understood you had to sort of walk jump and like jump a little further away from things, not like right beside them, I picked it up relatively easily. Definitely there's places where the navigating the world, especially if you got a whole bunch of enemies at you at the same time, is a lot, but that's some of the challenge, and they gave you those narrow paths because that's what they wanted you to like figure out and conquer. And so didn't bug me usually. It bugged me when I got far in a level
No checkpoints.
and died, and it was
dude.
cheap, and had
No
to redo
checkpoints.
the
Brutal.
entire level because
No
you don't save progress at all.
checkpoints.
And these aren't short levels.
This kind of game is
Some of
primed
them
for
get pretty
checkpoints.
long.
Prime for checkpoints.
What
I
are
don't
you
understand
talking
why
about?
they didn't do checkpoints.
Yes.
But I will say that once you've been through it, you know how to get through it a lot quicker on after your death. However, that is annoying and not forgivable. That's an easy thing to add. I've never never created a game, but at least one checkpoint, right?
Right.
At least one.
You have a mini boss
After
You
the
have
mini
a
boss.
very
Done.
natural halfway point.
Okay, yeah, that
And
or you
more.
could even do like on most stages you're unlocking 2 or 3 different colored doors. So why not
That's
at
fine.
You're
each
moving
of those
from region
gates?
to region.
If
Absolutely.
mini boss equals dead,
Yeah.
respawn at mini boss.
You just coded it. That's all they had to do.
No, it's definitely possible. That's why I think they didn't do it on purpose. Again, that goes back to the arcade feel of this game to me. It's very punishing. Give me a quarter. Like this doesn't. It's only on console and that's on PC, but it definitely feels like it started in the arcade or something. But I don't know.
Okay, let's talk Precinct Assault.
MOBA.
I think this is very interesting to talk about. Nolan, you just dipped your toes into it during the first play, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping that both of you got to at least play a few rounds this week.
Of course, it's
But,
better than. Primal.
Really, I don't have to explain it much because if you know what a MOBA is, I promise you, this is that.
Minions base.
You're still your mech, but you are spawning minions from your base. You've got red team and blue team, and you can go around and you can press L1 to get turrets on your side, to grab new bases, to activate new units. So
Sounds
you can
like a
upgrade
lawsuit to me.
yeah, they should absolutely sue League of Legends.
They can
because
hire us to represent them.
Not only do you get normal tanks that are going out, you can upgrade that by spending 50
Yeah.
points to upgrade those
the shop.
tanks. What
Listen.
in the world?
Okay. Yes, I had more fun with this mode. I definitely played it more. I threw the story mode away. But I was like, wait a minute. Why in the world would this be? I mean, this is stupid to say after everything you just listed, but my first approach was, why would this be listed as a MOBA influence? Like, this is literally just one of those mech strategy games, real-time strategy games, Kenny's genre. So, so I was like, why aren't those cited as it? And it is. Warcraft 3 is like the game that the mod was built off of to make Dota. But no, it is this game, and I'll tell you why. Because it takes you from the top-down god mode to you are the unit, and it's on you to win the victory. And that is actually really novel in 98. That's a big deal. So it's totally a MOBA, first of all, and it's one of the earliest ones. I definitely think so. And it's a fun mode, by the way. It's a really fun mode.
It is a fun mode, and
It is.
I didn't even say, but like you win by getting your tank to the enemy
base.
base. Like
base.
this is
Yep.
and
To
the
the Nexus.
AI enemy the AI, yeah, to the Nexus. The AI enemy
Right.
learns and gets stronger each time, or like gets better and better. Although after a while, I think it would get a little bit stale playing that AI the whole time. But you've got 2-player for both campaign and precinct,
Right.
which I know it's difficult for us to do today. But that's where I think the ultimate fun in this game lies. If you and a friend could play, sure, you might be able to beat precinct in about 5 to 10 minutes against the AI, but you might go an hour or 2 against a friend.
Just back and forth.
Yeah.
And that's how those games go. It's great.
No, totally good mode. They give you multiple maps, so you're not playing the same map over and over again.
Summoner's Rift.
There's a
You've
little
got
bit of
2s or
customization
3s.
you can do that's similar customization to what they let you do with your mech in the story mode, but really makes more sense from a strategy standpoint for like deciding how you want to play this mode. And I don't know, it definitely is 2 games. It almost feels like someone designed this game that feels secondary, and then they were like, oh, let's do a campaign mode 2.
I agree.
Like this feels like the point. And then and again, they did a good job fleshing out the story. You're not going to play it and be like, this wasn't fun, but it feels like the multiplayer battle arena, if you will, was kind of the point here.
See, and I feel opposite. I think that they created the campaign because that's all the other games, right? Like you just have a little story, and then they're like, let's also do a one-on-one kind of thing. And then they realized at the end, what is this? We've got something here. Maybe they didn't even realize.
I don't think it registered for them.
Right, and
Or
then
audiences.
everybody else comes along, and they're like, Riot's like, no one knows about this game. What if we copied it? And
No,
we get
what
like
a
a
thing
There's
happened.
much more nuance to it than that.
I really
think it
do,
was
but-
exactly.
I think Warcraft 3 is more the culprit of inspiration because of the characterization in that game. But certainly they played the game and enjoyed this game, and they merged the two. And they put heroes in it that have characteristics and personalities.
Those early mods that did this with the spawning and the update, I guarantee you some of those people had played this game.
Yes, all of them.
Yeah.
They love
If
So
Future
not-
Cop.
the influence is 100% had to be there. No way it wasn't.
It's either it was the influence and nobody knows about it, and they were not cited in their documentation, which is illegal. We'll be taking you to court. Or it was just divine providence where God spoke to 2 different groups around the same time.
Divine providence.
That could happen as
Yeah,
well.
that could happen.
Aged.
So who played on Mac this week?
None of us
No, I
3.
didn't play
We
on
all
that.
played on PlayStation.
I know. And
PlayStation.
I bring that up just because sometimes older computer games are tough, and my understanding is that getting the old Windows version of this to run is
Impossible.
also somewhat difficult
Oh, really?
today. So
It's
worth
abandonware.
mentioning. Yeah, and it's one of those you're gonna have to work on it. You
I
can
would
get
think
it to
it'd be on
work, but
GOG.
it's not just like out of the box playable today. So if you want to do this on PC, it's going to be a little bit of a fight. If you can get the game, get yourself an Xbox or an experience like that, and play it on PlayStation, you're going to have a much easier time.
It
Yep.
is not a pretty game, in my opinion. Well, let me
I
explain.
won't argue with that.
Okay, so it's blurry.
Maybe I will.
Like it's not the most refined pixels you've ever seen. But then also because it is this futuristic, but like everything has gone to hell in a handbasket kind of thing. You all the colors are kind of like muted and
Yeah,
grays
gray.
and whatever.
Black, yeah.
But I thought the cutscenes, I thought they looked good and added enough flavor. I thought they were fun.
Yeah. Cutscenes also felt a little dated just of the time
Yeah, they're
on
dated.
PlayStation, but for that console, yeah. They were
They
They
totally
were more-
worked. They kept the humor of the game in the cutscenes.
oh my god.
They knew the story they were telling and how ridiculous and over the top it was, and had
Yeah.
fun with it.
Self-aware
Like-
for sure.
Absolutely.
Self-aware, but the humor still felt out of place to me at times. Like the announcer for the MOBA one especially was like, I don't remember the line, but he
I
says
think that's
something.
the guy you're fighting.
Yeah. He says something when he's explaining the mode, and then he's like, or not. And
Right,
then he
like-
like goes into
yeah.
this like, what? But
I don't know, I
anyways,
think it
it's
works,
fine.
and it's interesting. Like the
Worked for me.
ending credits, you would think it would be some kind of like, I don't know, rock or
Yeah.
something like that.
Wait, what is
it's
it?
like it's like this piano. I don't remember the genre,
Jazzy?
but like like a ragtime piano kind of thing.
What?
As these mechs are just like
It
moving
actually
around.
it actually totally works for me.
Like
yeah,
a
the mech
saloon
moving
or
along
something?
to it. Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of like
they-
the end of a saloon scene.
Okay.
They know what they're doing. They knew
So
what
funny.
they were being silly with it all. And I mentioned earlier, but honestly, I thought like it's crazy. We played games with voice acting from this time, and they are largely not good. And I'm trying to think, 1998, that's huge, right? You've got Ocarina of Time, you've got Half-Life, you've got Metal Gear Solid.
FF7.
StarCraft.
Some of those do some voices, and some of them do them well. I just named some of the highlights, right? But a lot of voice acting from this time is bad. It's over the top here, but that girl that's in your ear, that is the primary voice actor here,
Why are you
I
in love
thought
with
did.
her?
I think she
was-
did.
she
I think
did
she did
so good.
so
Yep.
well, and it adds so much flavor. It's just enough. It's not annoying. Some of those can be very annoying, and I don't think she was annoying.
She wasn't
I'm with
annoying,
you,
but
Dustin.
I was just there.
No.
Like,
I thought
It's
it was
voice acting in
top-notch.
'98.
okay.
Yeah.
I feel like
The-
there's
the
plenty of
police-
examples.
The police chatter that like felt
great.
realistic as part,
It's
and we'll
great.
get to soundtrack in a second. But like that whole sort of immersive sound experience was so good, and especially the voice acting. I agree. I loved it. Loved it. Loved it.
You just
You
made me
said
know
in
with
a
the Cortana line.
Yeah, that was aggressive.
I know it was bold, and it may be slight hyperbole, but she's a great sort of
great.
in your ear
You are
second. It was
simps,
well
dude.
done.
Random police dispatch, no name, no character, just there.
No, she's got both. The music, Kenny, you said we'll get in a second. We're here.
It's a second.
What did you think with the music?
I loved it.
Why?
Everything about it. It's great.
Okay.
Set atmosphere. It was fun. It was memorable. It was upbeat and matched the chaos of the world and the experience you were going through. Yeah, totally worked for me.
I thought the music was good. I don't remember anything from it. I think that it worked for. I think it worked for what it was. I was certainly never distracted or put off by it, though.
Yeah, very
And-
average.
and-
I don't know.
And I
Not
loved the
memorable.
utilization of the like background noise and the police scanner and the stuff like as part of that soundtrack. That made it feel a lot more immersive. I never forgot that I was a cop, even though I was a mech blowing everything up, which is cool.
You were still thinking about the Force and your training, and
I think some of the age factors you're going to find most it has to do with the control scheme, the handling. We've talked about that some, not having
Yeah.
the dual sticks, and the camera. Although I felt that the camera did remarkably well
I thought so
working with you.
I thought
When
so
you-
too.
You not having control of it, but being able to show, and you having like 3 different camera set options with using select. You could have like an up close camera, a far away camera, or this weird side camera where it freezes in place. It gives you some flexibility.
Them realizing
Early
that,
on,
yeah, them realizing there are sections that needed to be top down, like to see. Great thought, and just it forces that you don't have to do that manually if you don't want to. So it's like, I agree. I thought the camera was actually pretty good.
yeah, early on there were some places I was worried I wasn't going to be able to see, and you can still walk behind certain walls or into things
Yeah.
and not be able to see yourself, but they always didn't make that a problem. Either it was not anything that you needed to know about, or it was something that you were just sort of traversing through quickly, or like, yeah, not a perfect camera, but camera work is hard, and for what you were doing, about as good a job as you could expect in 98, I think.
It really is unfortunate to hear that the PC version's defunct, because I do think the control scheme was a big aging factor
Yeah.
for me, and I can see it working quite well on
Feels more like a PC game to me.
it does
The
in
kind of
theme
stuff
and everything.
you're doing.
Yeah,
Most games though, I feel like I would be more in control if I had a PC.
That's fair, and maybe that's because we're all like
I'm a PC
gamers.
Sure.
Yeah, so I don't know.
That's not the only thing that's defunct though. This series, or it's not a series. It never
Right.
became a series. Listen, guys, the thing that is remarkable here is that only 200,000 copies were sold worldwide.
Wow.
That means
this
more
is
people are
EA.
going to listen to this podcast episode about the game. I don't know about that. Maybe by 2098. But it does mean that is a low amount of games sold. And
Yeah.
for all intents and purposes, this game did not sell well, and most gamers, even from the time, do not know about it.
Even though it was well reviewed, I think part of it is it's just real unique. It doesn't look like anything else. Also, I don't know if the branding is like super appealing, but it also was just up against some crazy competition
That
when
year?
this game was
This is
dropping.
my
There
theory,
were
yes.
huge game titles coming out here. This is the era of Spyro. This is the era of Tomb Raider. This is the era of big competition.
Oh, but forget that. Like, yes.
It's head with.
Yes, big AAA PlayStation exclusive, sure. Besides that, though, my theory is that I said this was a mech game at the beginning because that is a thing. Mech Warrior 2 is like the biggest PC like strategy game, and Heavy Gear was another really popular one in the 90s. And I just think it had to go up against those bigger mech themed games, and people were like, I don't want to be a cop. Like, what? A cop mech game is weird. The theme's kind of a hard sell, I think, for a lot of people at the time.
Here are the top grossing video games in the US in 98.
Oh gosh, it's gonna be
Okay.
Titans,
Number 1, Ocarina of Time.
of course.
Gran Turismo is number 2.
Big
It's
PlayStation title,
Big.
huge.
Resident Evil 2 is number 3.
Of course.
Massive.
GoldenEye 007.
You're not selling a game in '98, folks.
Tekken 3,
Yeah.
You're not.
Banjo-Kazooie, Tomb Raider 3, Pokemon Red and Blue, Super
Give up.
Mario 64. Like,
Those of you in '98 right now listening to this, give up.
do not release your game this
Don't.
year.
Just wait a year. 1 year. Like,
And there are other games that came out in 98 that did better than
Sure,
Future
sure.
Cop, but I do think that is probably part
yeah,
of it, right?
it's a popular
Yeah.
year, and it was up. It's just a hard sell, I think.
That being said, if you want a copy for your PlayStation, you're not going to be spending that much. It's only $18 used or loose, if you want to go that way.
I don't want
It is $45 new. So in package,
Whoa,
new,
that's
complete, $45.
that's like cheaper than top price games right now.
That's prices before people have heard this episode and
True.
have learned about the game.
True.
Now that we've talked about it, demand is going to be through the roof.
And after
so
the
you better
lawsuit-
buy your copy early.
It's gonna be even more. It's gonna be like a novelty. I got a Future Cop first MOBA ever.
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not the game gets our vote for New Game Plus status, which is our general thumbs up or thumbs down. It does require 2/3 of the vote to swing one way or the other. Nolan, what are your final thoughts on Lap Dance?
Future Cop Lap Dance is forgettable. Despite the kind of hype discovery of it having a MOBA mode, and it truly is that. It's not a stretch to say that. Sometimes when we read about games on Wikipedia or what people or what the developers themselves have said about their game or claimed, we're like, that's cap, and it often is. You're like, okay, you're reaching. This one's true. It's actually really novel to have that on a console PlayStation title, and I thought that mode was the highlight of the game if you're going to play the game. Story mode, nah. It's just like no checkpoint makes it like not worth playing. Yes, it may be short, but there's no checkpoint, and I feel like it's just too chaotic, and there's not much reward from going through that. So I think you're good knowing about it and never playing this game. It's quite boring and forgettable. So no thanks.
Boring and forgettable. Kenny, do you agree or disagree?
If I was in a mech, I would blow up Nolan's house.
Yikes.
Because I do not agree with that stance at all. Yep. Okay. This is a cult classic. Sign me
No.
up
What cult?
for the
2
cult.
people?
It is completely...
Yeah.
People do not know about this game.
Right. The 3 people that know about it love it.
It's a small cult.
Yes.
And I'm not in it.
And I want to be part of it now. Take a different visual if you want. Hidden Gem, I don't care. This game is great. There are a couple of mechanics that are a little clunky. There's some refinement it could use to make it a little bit more accessible. Like 98, they didn't have 100% of the most gamer-friendly choices on level resets on death and whatever else. But outside of that, this game is crazy fun. I love the chaos. I love the pacing. I love both the arena and the story mode. Play it. It's just good, and Nolan needs to learn to jump, but
It doesn't work, and you know it.
All right, so that is one no and one yes. I, this week, went in with really low expectations, honestly.
Did RoboCop ruin you for, like, mechano cop-related games? Because that's what I thought, and RoboCop was so bad.
I think both of y'all made the connection. I didn't, because I've erased RoboCop from my mind and know that video game developers would have to try to make a game that bad. But I did just go in with low expectations. This theme is not that appealing to me, and I don't know. I hadn't heard about it. Really, just with those two things, it didn't do anything for me. The only thing that caught my attention was this idea that it had some kind of influence on the MOBA genre. And so that was the only thing that was intriguing me this week. So I kind of put it off. When I finally got around to it, I found myself pleasantly surprised with engaging gameplay and interesting maps that is just fun to play. It, with giving you a superfluous amount of weaponry, upgrades, where in between stages you could change your machine gun to like a laser beam or a flamethrower for
the force lightning.
Yeah, it is my turn.
So good.
Yeah. And then to add on top of that, to add on top of that, the MOBA that I also put off because I was playing the story mode primarily. And so I was like, a day or two ago, I was like, I've got to get to this MOBA part, and then found that super engaging on top of it and a lot of fun. And I had a surprising amount of fun playing this game this week. And I think it's a travesty that it is largely forgotten. And I feel like it's an even greater travesty that Riot and these other games stole this IP and made it into something else. Absolutely. You've got to, and when you write a paper, you have to cite anything that inspires it. And they did not do their citations correctly.
Only if you
quote. I think that Future Cop LAPD is a great game, and you'll have fun playing it. So I give it my vote, meaning Future Cop LAPD is New Game Plus certified.
ACAB.
Rightfully so. Certified. YouTube, 14% said yes, it's worth playing today. 4% said no, but 82%, of course, have never played it before.
Yep.
That's a lot.
This week, many from our community played it for the very first time. A lot of them wrote in. Garlisle said, when the name was announced, I expected the worst. I don't think I jive with its story mode much at all, especially with its dated theme. However, the secondary mode, the Precinct, is actually pretty cool. I can see where this game is cited as helping, it's not cited, as helping inspire the MOBA genre. Despite its solid performance and ideas, I do think it's still held back by a cramped control scheme, as well as a map and radar that don't display enough information for me at once. Still, what's here is an interesting piece of how one branch of gaming history evolved, and I'm surprised I haven't heard it mentioned before in such discussions.
Sure. Did you also see the comparison to Herzog's Vi, which we have played?
And it's crazy being 7 years in and having the...
I know. Yeah. It's really weird.
The connections.
It's so sort of somewhere in the middle. Yeah. It's the evolution from those kind of early console-based RTS type games to something new.
Keeks said the year is 2089, and being a future, I think it's 2098.
98.
Yeah.
He's 9 years early.
Okay. That's not Is it?
That's good math.
Yep.
That's good
And
math.
being a future cop is not for the faint of heart. You play as ED-209's brother, 200, is that Star Wars? I don't know. In a quirky isometric shooter. This game is unforgiving, and you will die. The lack of checkpoints in the story mode is disheartening, but I found myself needing to complete the mission. Once I had completed the objective, I felt exhausted, yet gleeful. Precinct mode was a less stressful time, however, and I see the potential for even greater fun with friends. This is a game I have some nostalgia for. I remember one of my cousins from this game on his PC. One of my cousins had this game on his PC. I can't imagine that I put more than an hour into it then. This week I found myself wanting to try again. I can't wait to hear what the guys thought.
Y'all are some EA sympathizers.
It has nothing to do with sympathizing for a corporation.
Y'all love EA, man.
Clint said, I admittedly only played the first level of the story mode this week, but I felt like I had experienced everything I needed to with this one.
Yep.
Nope. The controls don't work well with the geometry. Platforming is awkward at best and aggravating at worst. And even enemy difficulty felt like either minor annoyances or near unstoppable bullet sponges with insta-kill missiles. Couples those complaints with an unforgivable lack of checkpointing, and I just couldn't find the desire to have anything to do with this one. It's a serviceable enough game, but I found it a little too annoying to play and often replay due to dying to give it my recommendation.
Clint, correct.
No, it's another game where you figure it out, and once you do, it's tons of
once you figure it out,
enjoyment.
it's not rewarding.
So wrong.
No, the MOBA mode's cool, but that's it.
Honestly, very few times in the history of this podcast that you've been more wrong.
For this game. Really?
This is a great game, Kenny.
Yeah, I'm way more in your camp.
This will go down in history as something that happened.
Verganon said, when I heard the name X1 Alpha while listening in the last episode, I had a very movie-like moment in public when the main character screams, "No!" into the sky as the camera rotates around him and zooms out. But why? Since I started listening about a year ago, I hoped that at some point, when I'm not broke, I could become a director and talk with you about this very game.
Oh no! They stole his director episode.
So now it is my first entry as commentor here instead. Dream shattered.
Dang.
Future Cop LAPD is quirky fun and absolutely self-aware, which it shows in the intro scene already. No overarching story, just a bunch of missions to serve, protect, survive in a chaotic, evil world. The controls sure feel clunky at first, but as soon as you master strafing and switching between walker and hover mode, you can do some fast and precise moves that gets you exactly where you want to be. While the story mode is great fun, the best memories I have is of Precinct Assault. It is very well to be the very first MOBA in a 1v1 format, even before the original Dota mod for Warcraft 3. Yep. I sank endless hours into this mode back when I was a kid, playing against my friends, my sister, and even my dad. For me, this game is New Game Plus for sure, as it's easily in my top 3 games from my childhood.
It's cool. You can always bring Future Cop 2 as your director episode.
Not a thing, but I did see on Steam, there is a game there that is supposed to, that it's not released and probably never will be, but that is supposed to be the spiritual successor to this game.
I'll try an updated version of it. Sure, I'd be down for that.
This could be a rad remake.
Oh. Especially with the... Well, honestly, it has been remade. It's called League of Legends. Thank you for sending in your thoughts on the Retro Game of the Week. You can do that each and every week by emailing ngppodcast@gmail.com or hopping into our commentary channel on Discord and leaving your thoughts there. We'd love to include your thoughts on a future episode. For now, we're going to set aside the lap dance, and we're going to randomly select from our Retro Master list and find out what game we're going to be playing for the next 7 days. And it is... a tactical role-playing game.
No!
For the Game Boy Advance.
Ooh.
Okay, Dustin's already in love with it.
Wait, stop. Keep going.
I love Nolan because I think Nolan has an inkling already.
Wait a minute.
Do you want me to tell you who it was developed by?
Yes.
Would that give you anything?
Yes, that will confirm it.
Okay. What if I told you that it was developed intelligently?
Oh yeah! Whoa.
It's been a while.
This
I know,
is probably
it's been-
ruining somebody's director episode too. This is big,
It was published by Nintendo.
baby
Came out
girl.
in 2004. It is the 8th entry in the series, the second to be released outside of Japan. For the next 7 days, we are indeed playing Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones. Don't
The
way.
Sacred
I'm so
Stones. You've
excited.
played this.
Is that the one that I played all the way through before, like not even podcast related?
Yes, it is, and this got the tower in it. Do you remember the tower? It's like a nonstop climbing kind of thing that you enjoy in RPGs.
Wait.
But also the
What?
intelligence didn't confirm this for me because this could have
you
been
were
a
thinking
couple
something
games.
else?
Well, it was either going to be another Fire Emblem game or Advanced Wars. So wait, was
Oh.
Advanced Wars developed by the same people? I have to know this. This is still very hype and good.
Now, I know that like
Yeah,
some
it
people,
was
like
developed.
Bradley, for example, wanted to bring a Fire Emblem for the longest time. Was
It wasn't
the
this one.
Okay.
No, it was
wasn't this
probably FE7. This is FE8 technically.
Okay.
So
And how many FEs have we played as a part of the podcast? Just one?
great question.
One
And it's
Really?
been a while.
And it was an
That-
old one.
thing.
There's so many Fire Emblems, correct?
So many.
And
Yeah.
out of the life of our podcast, we have only played Fire Emblem Mystery of the Emblem on episode
Right.
106.
Yeah, so a long time ago, one of the older ones. This is in my personal favorite era of Fire Emblem. So 7's my favorite. I love Sacred Stones too. And then you have the GameCube releases, which were amazing. I'm very excited. Dustin, you played this though. That's crazy.
I'm remembering it because I knew you were a big Fire Emblem fan, and you were
Erica
like,
and Ephraim, brother and
Yep,
sister. You
I
play
do
through two
remember now.
different. You can choose the. Kenny, you
Okay.
might hate the game actually.
There's too many characters. It's a Fire Emblem game. I can
Oh.
already tell you there's too many characters.
and if they die, they're dead.
Yeah,
Which
Dead
I
is
don't
Dead.
I don't
Hardcore
play
mode.
along with.
love this
Okay,
game.
so find a copy of Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones, slip it into your Game Boy Advance, and play it along with us this week.
Slip into Discord as well. Slip into something more comfortable. Discord.gg/newgameplus.
Slip into supporting the podcast on patreon.com, where you can vote with your wallet for us to take jokes one step too far every single time. Thank you to our large producer list, including Adam, Alex, Marlene, Antonin, Ben, Big Dude, Brunt, LS, Fishy, Francesca, Gimbin, J. Robert, Jared, Joey, Jordan, Justin, Clint, Nick, Nat, Corey, Lawai, Levi, Maximum, Mr. Lattes, Pedro, Sage, and Shauna, Subsonic Steven, Tazelhoff, Thomas, Unbelievable, and Zion. Thank you to our director level supporters. Of course, Bro Jim, Daniel, DH Bowser, Garlisle, and Super Hypered. We just appreciate you guys so much and want to let you know.
You can find us on our social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube. All of those links are in the show notes. Listen directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Make sure you subscribe so that you are the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a kind rating and review. Our video episode was edited by our friend Dylan. Our audio episode was edited and produced by our friend Dan Willett. Join us next week as we play Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones. Did you find out if Advanced Wars was Intelligent Systems?
It is. It is.
Okay.
I was right. I'm not crazy.
Until then, I'm still X1 Alpha.
I'm preemptively mourning my characters that are going to die.
I'm Knoll. Knoll. If you know, you know.
And this has been New Game Plus.